Good evening, everybody. Welcome back, as ever, to Building Blocks. We program Minecraft mods, Slave and Chimera. And there's a few things that I've managed here with regards to...
32 months.
Yeah.
Where did the time go? Someone put it into the source. Wait, that's the wrong kind of time. Joking aside, here is to 32 more.
Really pushing the word limit on that one. Wow, Per, thank you very much for 32 months. Wow. Yeah, so there's been a bunch of changes, and if you've been keeping an eye on Modding and Bed Money, you probably know what most of these are already. But last week we managed to add the ritual room as well as the garden. Those have both been overhauled since to be considerably more functional and streamlined and pretty, especially. Mostly pretty, if I'm honest. But let's drop in and have a look at them, shall we? Cracking sounds. Oh yeah. Anyone wondering, my wrist is a lot better today. It's at like 98, 99%. Okay. So the first thing you might notice is the wireframe in here. If I hop in here, the wireframe is now displayed for all of the rooms of the Hive. This is a tool mostly for operators and people in creative to actually see what space is being occupied and used by the Hive, and from that the area of the structure is actually able to be a bit more like controlled and visually understood. Another thing is the notifier in the middle there is also important. That is used to ensure that we know what kind of room we're sitting in, just so that we have a better idea. And that's the fact that there's 2 rooms along here, 2 or 3 actually, I think, is purely because of code I've literally just added, so we'll talk about that in a hot sec. Yeah.
Itline G scram time.
Lang starting a stream, snap, crackle, and pop. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So we have a better view of what the ritual room looks like now. So there's all of the icons floating around. Oh, yep, there's one. And those always face you and they bob up and down. And we have this column in the middle as well, which is now modeled and looking nice. Doesn't have a particle set to it just yet, but, you know, it's working. You thought hatchery said something wildly different for a second? I don't know what you mean, Dusty. I don't know what you mean. So yeah, if we wait for this to current to spread along fast enough. Also, creative mode players are counted for room functions when they're checking for changelings in their occupancy. So yeah, there we go. So the strut goes to the ceiling, splits in the middle, and then we have this rotating spell circle here. So this is now a pretty clearly magical kind of room. Like, I think that should be fairly obvious. Is that the Singapore Ear Totoro hat? I have no idea. What is a Singapore Ear Totoro hat? Another one. If I can find it, if we have one around here, which I don't know that we do. And it feels like these rooms are not necessarily splitting properly, but yeah. Is the garden, and... No? Yeah, I don't think we have a garden around here. We have a hatchery over here. That is part of the code I'm currently trying to fix up, is to ensure that all of the useful rooms actually get a space, if we have enough space for them. But apparently, that's not necessarily working out for us. I was doing signals. Oh, semaphore. Semaphore, not Singapore. Criminy part. No wonder I was confused. Yeah, we got rid of all of the stuff up top, so there's no more giant thing of stained glass or giant thing of stained hardened clay, which means this runs much smoother when we actually change that up. But yep. Right, well, we don't seem to have a garden in there, so let me just spawn the new garden block. Previously, we were just using pieces of grass that we occasionally had the room put stuff on top. Now, we actually have a thing. So here we have the Hive Garden, and I can actually retrieve it just if you want to use it for building, that kind of thing. And this has a pretty complicated model. Doesn't look like it. It does look nice, but it doesn't look very complicated. The bottom there is literally just the Hive Creep texture and such, so it just adds that randomly. So different ones have different bottoms into such. But if I actually start connecting these, then yeah, you can see it's a little bit more complex, because it has to know what to put on these outward edges on all four sides, and boy was that a bit of a pain in the neck. But every now and then, these blocks will by themselves put flowers on top of them. They can be any kind of mushroom, any kind of glowing mushroom, any kind of vanilla flower, and that is the lot, pretty much. But that's still quite a lot, because you get enough of these, then you can theoretically make one hell of a flower farm. I don't know if that's necessarily game-breaking, considering that you only get access to this after completing an entire pact, and potentially trashing some parts of your world, but, you know, there's that. The actual code in the garden for actually placing these blocks is fairly convoluted, but it basically hinges upon prioritizing placing the first garden more or less wherever, and then any subsequent gardens ideally into places that connect to existing gardens up to a fault. So you will pretty much at most find them in this kind of configuration. You can place them like that as well, but it's mostly this kind of 3x3 because it tries to prioritize having like putting the ones with the most connections to existing gardens first. So if you end up with like somehow there's a hole in the middle here, there's 4, it pretty much always place the next one there, but otherwise it'll just generally try to put them next to each other where it can get like two connections and such. So there's that. It's still a little hard to make sure that they don't block up a doorway or something, but yeah. So yeah, that is the Changeling Garden block. That is the only feature of the garden. The garden then just checks if any of the garden blocks have like a flower or something above it, and then they will just tell the changelings to come along, where it will then break that block, give the results to the changeling, and the changeling will then just naturally go to the nearest storage and put that in. So, yay. Cool. Another change that we've had is that previously we pretty much had to make sure that there was no access to the sky, especially in a world like this where that's basically everywhere, because it was the only way we had of meaningfully constraining where the hive spread when it was calculating its volume, because if you didn't do that, it would pretty much come right out of this front door and spread infinitely out, taking forever and never actually accomplishing anything, to say the least. You may notice, however, that we actually have sky access up here, and yet there is a room down here. Ordinarily, a room that large, just on that side there, should not be counted as being large enough to be useful. So, yes, Dusty, the hive jungle, that is exactly what I'm referencing. Well, we haven't actually tested that in a while. We might do that again this stream, we'll see. But what happens now is that we have an enclosure check as opposed to a sky exposure check, and that means that whilst the creep still doesn't want to spread into this area, because the blocks in that area are bounded on 2 direct sides by creep, it is counted as being part of the actual hive. Therefore, we can actually have areas of the hive that are exposed to the sky, but still function as rooms. Hive jungle still not as funny as the scale fountain? I disagree. I disagree. I guess it depends on your personal tastes. So yeah, with that, that makes things not necessarily faster. I did actually have to slow down the volume calculation as a consequence of that, but it is significantly more control and allows for some nice little things there as well. It gives us a nice, decent view of things, much better. Volume calculation is still very much a progressive thing. It has to go tick by tick by tick by tick, and it has to go pretty much looping over and over until it fails. But it's fine. It's fine. So, phew. We now know where the rooms are, we know what the rooms are, so we should be able to fix things up and get them actually splitting up a bit more so we can get more different kinds of room in, and that'll be our start for the day, just to ensure that we actually have the room that we're working on. Phew. So, here we have the code I've just been tinkering with, literally right now. Why is Harvey out of the hive, and I think Harold just escaped too? Why are they all... Why are these all H names? Para, why are you calling these guys all H's? But anyways, so, as per usual, we set the first room, the largest room, that can... well, the box room generator ensures that the room that has the hive, the rift in it, is the largest room. The first one that we add, the largest one for that position. The next step then is we name that room to be the hatchery. So that's our start. And now, if the unassigned rooms is, like, the number of unassigned rooms that are left over is less than the possible rooms, then, well, -2, 1 for the hatchery, 1 for none, which we include as being an actual, like, type of room. So it's just, like, no function. We could theoretically just make that be the default of box rooms, just so that there's always something there, I guess. It's probably worthwhile, I think. I previously had it like that so that you could put actual functions into the none rooms, but we're already kind of doing that, so I guess that's fine. Just saves us a step, I guess. And then I believe there's a has function. Do I know Java? I sincerely hope so. Maybe it's for halitoration process? Does that mean eventually there's going to be a change called halitosis? Baldwin, if you want to ask a question, there is a channel points thing for that. The quick queue. But okay, right. So we saw there it was probably splitting the room that had the rift in it, which is a bad thing. We don't really want to do. We don't really want to be doing that ideally. So let's start. We got that going, and then we has unassigned rooms. Yep, just checks that. Grand. And let's see. I've lost myself completely. Where are we? There's your update function. There you are. So if it doesn't have a function, or yeah, that's good. Okay, unassigned rooms should reference if it is has function, so should be good there. And otherwise, it's just room.getFunction. That's probably going to try and set every room before it actually starts to update. Oh, there's a lot going on there, guys. We're like 10-15 minutes into the stream here, come on. Yeah. Okay. So now that we've determined the box rooms are by default always no function, none, are empty function as it were, then we need to make sure that even the nones are actually calculated in here. So in this case, we need to just take that out, because has function there is just whether or not it's null or none. We shall torment the yip with adorable. Okay. Oh, I'm in Rift, not interior. That's why I can't find it. Of course. You got some Java code. You got an error saying transaction already active, even though you're closing all sessions. I have not the slightest clue what could be causing that. I think I would need a lot more context than is probably necessary. That is probably feasible to put across in a Twitch chat. I'm afraid there. Try Stack Overflow. They might be able to help you a bit better. Using Hibernate? You're using Hibernate this stuff? Okay. Yeah, that's a bit too complex an issue, I think, for me to diagnose across a Twitch chat. Apologies. Okay, so is get unassigned rooms finding the room that's already assigned? That seems probable. Ah, because we're removing, I have this reversed. Right, there's no such thing as an add if inside of Java's utility list function. So you have to use remove if, meaning remove everything that isn't what you're looking for. That's why it was only splitting the hatchery, the main hatchery. Okay. Now the other thing that we have down here is the split function. So we determine that a room can only split if it is at least twice the minimum size for a room on either the X or the Z axis. The Y axis we pretty much don't care about. Because anything that you try to put on top of a room should probably just end up being non-solid foundation and therefore not actually a useful place to put a room. It's like it doesn't matter how tall a given like castle is if it doesn't have wooden floors at some point. Essentially. So if it can split, then we find out which one. So X or Z, prioritizing X just because we have to, more or less. And then we just return a tuple, which is a handy little object for holding just a pair of values. Doesn't even need to be the same kind of value, but handy. Beats using a list or such. I have a question for all of you. Are you all more of a cave person or a forest person? I'd say forest, but they tend to be... I know, there's pros and cons of being a cave person and a forest person. I presume at some point my species was cave people. But okay, so now that we're not trying to split the... there. My brain's gone completely dead. Wow, that was fast. Now that we're not trying to split the rooms that actually have functions, that should go to there. And change that to that. Okay. So now for Hive room type in get possible rooms. It's also fairing that means we can take out the possible room here. We can take none out of here because it's already there. And I think Rift is... yeah, let's just abstract so that's not there at all. So, let's see. What do we want here? We want the first box room in that list from Get Unassigned Rooms. If not, Get Unassigned Rooms is empty. That shouldn't ever be a problem, but just in case. Set function to room type. There. That does mean we'll end up with two different hatcheries, but it should be fine. We can just hard code that here. This is not necessarily the perfect code for any situation, but it works for this particular function. This is a very specific implementation of a tile entity rift. It's a changeling rift to be exact. Still owe you for those bad jokes the 30th and the 1st? Don't know what you mean. Okay. So, room contains that. We don't need to worry. So if rand.next int 4 is greater than 0, set function to just enum Hive room. Actually, we can just skip it at that point, don't we? Let's see, we need to... yeah, we need to probably shift the assignment to up here, because this is basically just the pending stuff. So once it's actually got to that point, where it's about to shift into the idle phase, essentially, that's when we actually add them all. So the room generator finishes, we add all those rooms, and then we assign them actual functions. Okay. If we have unassigned rooms, we shouldn't need to do anything else. Let's just create ourselves a little function here that we can call inside of state 0, just in case something turns up. Again, that shouldn't happen, but at least this will get the code out of the way, so you can actually see stuff a bit easier. There. So it goes through that once, and 1 in 4 has a special function beyond the ones that we've already assigned. Okay, that should mean that we now always get a garden, a ritual room, a hatchery, a storage. And then everything else is just random. See if I've just broken anything calamitously. Which, let's be real, is highly likely because it's me. Oh, and that probably needs to change to 1 because it's just occurred to me that we are no longer counting none functions, or empty functions, unused. Let's call that spare rooms. This is going to be interesting to see what's happened. Okay. So we should probably see this one at the back split up the next time this reboots. Okay, so yeah, we got a ritual room back here. Nothing back here, interesting enough. Hatchery. Nothing here, really? Whoop. There's a storage there and a garden here. Okay, so yes, it does look like we've gotten the rooms. These don't get removed with the rest of the hive, so they just stick there right now. So yeah, you can see our garden blocks in the fields, now blocking the doorway. But oh well. We'll just hang out in this storage room and hopefully things will fix up. I can't actually see the boundaries here. Where are we? There they are. Interesting, it hasn't actually included that section. Oh, it's probably just in the doorway, that's why. Yeah, it includes the doorway, so it hasn't actually spread out further. Oh well. It's just kind of waiting for this storage room to actually... Oh, right, yes, of course. Okay, this is the next problem. So storages, as an example here, only place their actual storage blocks on creep that has a wall edging. So there. But because this particular storage is generated in an area that doesn't have any of that, can't actually place any storages. So that's the next thing that I need to do, is to actually, like, assign appropriateness. We need to not just find the first room, we need to find the first room that is actually useful for that purpose. So for a ritual room, for instance, it might be a room that's, like, sufficiently larger than usual. Is the one you call Skipper still outside? Potentially. Let's have a look. There's one over there. Tell you what, I'm gonna name these guys just so we can keep track of them a little bit. Is there somebody in here? Oh. Right. I legit forgot you were here. For those of you who might be new here, this mod is currently being developed in version 1.12.2, which predates the addition of foxes to Minecraft. This is the witch. And one of their disguises just happens to be Minecraft Fox. So if we don't look at them for long enough, they'll actually turn into something else. Oh boy. Okay, can we find Harvey? There's Harvey. Good to meet you, I guess, Harvey. Should usually just end up targeting the closest one. So there's Harold, there's Harvey. Question, can the witch purr? Wouldn't be surprising, but I certainly can't. I can grumble. That's about it. so we've got Skipper, we've got Harvey, we've got Harold over there. And what do we call you? Name one H? There's literally no purpose to us naming these guys. I'm surprised they've lived this long, honestly. There you go. But okay, so that silliness aside, we need to ensure that the rooms that get assigned for these different functions are actually useful for them. Did we ever find out what the statues were for? Statues? What statues? To which statues do you refer to? That statue? I mean, it says right there. Petrifies the target. Oh, they've changed their crone appearance now. I do love that little touch. Little mark to the little that in the course of like various oddities magic system means trickery. It's like if you know what that like spell symbol means, and you see it on the back of a creature, you should be immediately suspicious. Statue outside of Witch's domicile. I mean, I don't think we have a well over here. What do you mean? Whoop. Harvey? Harold? Anyways, let's just clear that particular hive out. Still it does lag when I push that button, the reason being that it also sets the tick speed to 1,000 times faster, which means that the several thousand creep blocks then start to disintegrate pretty much all at once, which then causes, of course, a few issues. Love watching you mess with people? Am I messing with people? Okay, yeah, for real, actual. Back to the fox mode, huh? Okay, fine by me. So, it says what it is up there, the dwarf statue, and all of these have specific unique data to them, actually. Like, you can't stack them because all of them have a distinct name, not that you can actually see it. The intention is that later on, when I'm done with the changelings, and I'm starting to add other creatures that operate into sort of like communities and such, dwarves will make a comeback. And dwarves, in the apparent law of various oddities, existed a very, very, very long time ago. And then something bad happened. And there are crystals that are the center of all of their communities, and those basically fell apart and became inert or whatever for a while, and that resulted in all of the dwarves petrifying. So you can occasionally find the gems, and you can occasionally find the dwarves in their petrified state throughout the world, and you'll be able to set them up again to like actually start doing stuff once more. Not nearly on the kind of like granular level of Yog Dwarves was way back when, because that was big enough to require its own mod, and even then I didn't finish it at all. So, yeah. I will say I have been through the name generator for the dwarves, and I have made some pretty specific removals from that. But anyways, so, we've got the rooms actually assigning. We now need to make sure that we actually do assign them properly. So we assign the room functions, we go through that, and here's the thing where we actually need to check for the actual quality of these rooms. So we need an actual predicate of some description here, so something to the effect of is appropriate for room. Private predicates enum hive. Well, this should be box room, I guess. Or a switch, maybe? What's the phrase here? Validator? No, that's different. Verifier? a little bit different as well. Okay. Changelings have mossy feet? Yes, they have a little bit of moss on their feet. Partially because they're sort of always intended to be walking on it to some degree, but yeah. Okay, so then case ritual. Return input.size x greater than or equal to 5, and input.size z greater than or equal to 5. So that's our first one there, which just ensures that any room used for a ritual is going to be at least that. Do the changelings have beans? They're sort of hooves / insect feet, so probably not. They might in their, like, courtier disguise when we actually get around to adding that, but... So, apologies. I mean, the witch in their fox disguise probably does, if that helps. Some forms of changeling probably do as well. Okay, case... storage. That's the important one. Well, they're all important in their own ways. So for this, we need to actually check if there are sufficient room, like sufficient wall space. Do I think Endermen have toe beans? Not really sure. They're sort of like... They're humanoid. That's kind of like their defining characteristic, really. More or less their only characteristic, physically speaking. They always seem like... I don't know, they seem like... smoke creatures, I guess, might be the best way to put them. Like, they're not quite fully here, and maybe have never been. It's also just occurred to me that I could probably do this much easier if I put this into the room behaviors. But I do have like 4 of those, so who knows. If we go to Hive Room Behavior, down here, we can actually get ourselves a boolean, just to say, is this particular room, like, valid? And that also gives us a little bit more to work with. So then, let's see. It helped if I did not just close the thing I was looking at. So for the ritual room, we just have that be a default, but we can also override it. And then for the storage, we actually have functions in storage already for getting the valid positions. Is it appropriate that I called it, or... yeah. Always good to reuse code if you can. So return valid pot positions room world in dot size is greater than, say, 4. There. And then when I just shadow people, yeah. Shisai with toe beans? Shisai probably does have toe beans. Like, after a certain point, at the very least. Lizardly or like weird rubber skin, yeah. Knight with toe beans? I mean, Knight straight up turns into a wolf. So there's gotta be something in there. In that regard. Okay, the hatchery... we just need... pretty much anywhere. Like, probably the same thing there. I should also rename this, because valid planter positions is not a correct term here. There. So that one can stay just true. Storage now actually checks if there's valid pot positions. Ritual checks for a minimum size. Gardens. We probably want to also check for validness, for like valid positions, and also not nest in this case. Now I'm wondering if this is actually changing the behaviors up there. Well. Shouldn't be too much of a problem, though. Oh. Let's bug it anyways. So, at least 3, right there. And then we don't actually need this room predicate behavior at all. Okay. So now we need to find the first one that actually has a given function here. So as long as we have unassigned rooms, and as long as it's not the hatchery, because we've already got one of those, like, just by rote, right up there. So, for box room in get unassigned rooms, if room get function, actually no, we want room type to get function, because room is just gonna be, yes, of course, I can be a whatever you ask me, I'm an empty room. Handler, is that what I want? Oh, is handler, I think handler might actually be a hidden value for me. I have update rooms. Where are you? There you are. Get behavior for room. That's the one I'm looking for. That allows us to actually have distinct things even if we're using the same stuff. Handler dots is room appropriate, that room, this world, then room set function, room type, and break. Okay. Phew. Enderman, depending on your depiction, could have beans. Which lang is required by law to have beans? Does Neverlying have toe beans? Probably not. Because Neverlying is human-ish, mostly. Okay, and then we go through the remainders. Right, so that should mean that we actually get rooms of appropriate size. As opposed to rooms of unusual size, which I don't think exist. Do I have that correct? Yeah, okay. Let's find out. Human except for a strange Toby mutation. Well, depending on, like, depictions, a few fanarts have shown Neverline to be just straight up like, I've been in the Nether so long I'm now immune to lava, or that kind of thing. I think somebody did a fan art that involved Never having, like, a lava prosthesis at one point, which is an interesting concept. Like, I feel like you probably have to be a little bit unusual just to survive in the Nether, like, for so long. Sugar cube? No, sugar cube, well, I can add, like, baby ghasts as an oddity, but I wouldn't call sugar cube an oddity. There's too much adorable in sugar cube for that. Okay, wait for the rooms to gen. Shouldn't take too long. There we go. So we've got hatchery, we've got storage here. Have anything over here? Yep, we have a ritual room, because this is at least 5 by 5. Good. Where are we putting a garden, then? Is this a garden? There is something here, I just can't quite tell what it is. Hatchery still? Apparently this is a hatchery. We probably do need to add some clarity there, because it can only come out of the down creep. Oh, here's the garden. Okay. Yeah, teeny little garden, right here. Still love that picture of Never spritzing witch with a water bottle. Yeah. Add just one baby ghast and call it sugar cube? Ah, I feel like that'd be mean, though. Like, there's one sugar cube per world? Yeah, I feel like that might be a little bit mean. Yeah, so there's the garden, right there. We've got a hatchery, we've got storage. And we got a ritual room in here as well. Maybe if I just sit around in, it should hopefully define itself. There you go. The rarest oddity. Yeah, like, if it'd be like, here is a creature which is adorable and wonderful and fluffy. Only one person on an entire server can have it, though, per world. Like, that feels mean. I'm not entirely certain why it stopped generating rooms here. It might be due to how I slightly changed. Like Jimmy, yeah, Jimmy is a creature you can make. Like, I feel like if I was to add Sugar Cube, the baby ghast, as like an actual oddity, it should be something you can encounter in the Nether, but also something you can engineer. A variant oddity, if you will. Now, right now, we've got a big old honkin' storage. I feel like this room would be better suited to being a garden, for instance, as an idea. Obviously, that room over there is not of sufficient size to be a ritual room, nor does it have the appropriate walls to be a storage room, but, yeah. At that point, we probably need to start splitting rooms again. Splitting a room creates 2 new room values. It doesn't destroy the existing room, so we can check by going through the assigned rooms and splitting them and seeing if either is actually like appropriate for both rooms. This is getting into the very nitty-gritty here. Just to try and make sure these rooms are put together intelligently. But that is working significantly better. So I think we can move on to our next thing here. We should also go through by priority, so, because right now it's just the rooms are sort of ordered in like size, largest to smallest, just the way the room generator goes. So that means the second one that we go through is the first one after the hatchery, which is the storage. So the storage ends up being the one assigned this second huge room right here. And then it's the ritual room, which goes over here, which is the 5x5, and then the garden is over here, and that's that's the last in our list. So that just gets assigned the dilly little 3x3. We do also appear to be lagging a significant bit, but I'm not 100% certain what's causing that. Could be things are taking over a bit too much. I don't know. But it's good to see that we have all the rooms accounted for now. That's good. That's progress. That was probably the void my head looking. Yes, I know, sticks. Sorry, so I'll see you all in about 10 minutes, and then we'll actually get to what I was planning for today. It's just my weird little diatribes here. Great, folks. Welcome back to the second hour of our stream tonight. There's only 3, so hey, stick around and love. And we have just managed to ensure that our different rooms actually get assigned properly as well. Well, more properly than they did previously, at the very least. There is definitely still a problem in that they're not necessarily being assigned according to the most appropriate rooms that they could be, just in like order that we find first one that's valid for this, that kind of thing, which tends to just be the largest ones anyways. But now we're not getting a ritual room put into a space that could be better used by like, well, now we're not getting a storage room being put into a place where it can't actually put any storages, so that's good. That's an upgrade. What we should actually be doing here is just creating a list of all of the available rooms that are appropriate, and then using that list to find the most appropriate. That kind of thing. Or alternatively going through all of them and then finding out what their rankings are for each of the different hive rooms, so that we can then pick the most appropriate that hasn't already been picked, that kind of thing. But that's a little bit more complicated than what we're going for tonight. What we are going for tonight is the ritual. So we have now got the ritual room added. It places all of its little sigils around the place. Yeah.
Does Marshmallow have personality? 3C.
I'm actually kind of genuinely surprised that the text-to-speech understood that quite so well. I presume Marsh has personality in spades, buckets. It's kind of how systems work, is my understanding. But yeah, so it places all of the sigils, and it places the struts, and it places the actual core, which is the next thing that we need to work on because it currently does heck all. So, tile, entity, hive ritual. This is the only thing that exists inside of our ritual entity here currently. Not personality, peepsonality? I don't know what that means, but you're gonna have to help me. Okay. So the ritual needs to have an inventory in order to know exactly what is currently inside of it. And then from that we can derive, okay, what is its like value? What odds do these items give us in terms of performing the ritual? And also, crucially, are there enough of them that we can start the ritual? In which case we then need to do some more complicated stuff with the changelings to get them to actually stand around it. That sort of thing. We could theoretically make it so that the ritual block just renders additional additional changelings, so we don't actually have to interact with the AI at all. They're just there. But that could get a little bit confusing, especially if players try to like interrupt the ritual by swinging at the changelings, for instance. Like, we could just summon them that had create no AI changelings in the right places, but I don't know if that's necessarily as fun. But first things first, we need an inventory. So let's take some reference. The Alembic is a good start. So the Alembic has some interesting concepts. It does have contents. It is not strictly speaking an inventory, but it's there. And a better idea of an inventory would probably be it's not the Alembic. The Alembic's the thing that goes blip. It is the spinny thing, which is called a centrifuge, I think. No? What is it? What did I call it? Oh, that's gonna bug me. Well, it'll be listed down here somewhere. Gears, nope. Hearts, definitely not. Ink table, no. Separators? No, that's what a centrifuge is actually used for. Mixers. There we go. Yeah, for whatever reason, I decided the thing that automatically shakes your stuff should actually, like, just spin constantly. Maybe at some point I'll actually make it a sine wave, so it just, like, chunk, 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 which would mix stuff. But no, for reasons known only to me, apparently, it actually just spins 360 and then it separates things. But, it's easier to animate, I guess. Like, if I did make it go chunk, 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 that's a little more complicated. But anyways, so this ritual does actually need to be an inventory. And this cannot be named. This is not meant to be a player accessible thing, so we don't need to change most of this. Okay, size of inventory. How many item slots do we want this to have? NB separators, mixers. That sounds more like that sounds more like a dating event. A dating event specifically for non-binary people. Mixers. For right now, let's just say it's 6. Because 6s don't happen in Minecraft very much. Amazingly, it's mostly 8s. Or factors of 8, I should say. That's probably a bit more complicated than it needs to be, because quite probably the code is only going to ask for something within its size, but just in case it goes to over. So the idea here is that you put 6 items into the ritual via the changeling, not by hand, and it will then from that determine your odds of actually doing it. If they're things that the hive can just produce by itself, like from the garden, then they're fairly low value. It is never going to be a guaranteed thing that the hive will grow from doing this, but if you give them stuff like, here's 6 emerald blocks or something, then it's a relatively high chance, but still probably only like a 30% chance. The NB equivalent to grinder and scissor? Is that a thing that exists? I shouldn't be terribly surprised, that's just an interesting choice. Okay, should not be usable by a player. Doesn't need to do anything when it's open or closed. Just ticks along by itself. Will take basically any item that just ends up in storage. And I've literally never seen these 3 functions ever used. Get field, set field, and get field count. I've never ever seen them used. I don't know why they're here. Like, does literally anything use them? Part of the beacon does, apparently. Interestingly enough. But I've never seen anything actually use them for any purpose. Because most things just say, like, eh. Yeah, they are apparently used, but not for much. Clear, we will be using. Let's see, set inventory slot contents, that's it. Wonder, can I just say... Yep, I can just tell it to clear. That's much easier. And it does exactly what I just told it to do anyways. Okay. Decrement stack slice, remove stack from slot. That shouldn't be necessary. So we'll just... Like, literally no hand of man should be able to reach into this inventory, so it shouldn't be a problem. Nor will we need to worry about decrementing the stack size. Because we're not gonna have like hopper interfaces with this, it needs to be put in by changelings. So I think that's fine. Let's just make these what they be. So they're not nulls, because nulls tend to break things a lot. Okay. So we have is empty. We actually now need to know is full. That's our main thing. Returns true if every slot in the inventory is occupied. And since we have a stack size of 1 maximum for all of this, that should mean 6 items. So let's add I tickable. The right one. And this is where things start to get active. So if is full. Otherwise, we need to do something else. Now, it's helpful to know which room we're in, I think. We don't currently actually ask that in any fashion, but it's helpful to know. So if we're not full, then request an item. Now, that might be easiest to do just by having it be very similar to how the rooms already request visits from the changelings, so just create something like that, which is just, okay, I need to go to a storage and grab an item and then go over there. Dab price and Hug Carol price should be swapped. How much are they right now? Dab is 350, Carol is 700. Maybe. I can definitely, like, I owe Carol a hug? Do I? Oh, I'm so sorry, Carol. I will say, convenient that a dab is a thing that most plushies can perform. But okay, so we've got that. So next thing is we actually need to be able to see what these items are. So tile, entity, hive ritual, renderer. Here we have it currently just displaying the like rotating actual like circle. So let's just separate that. Turns out it was a pain in the butt to get working, but we got it in the end. I mean, the sigils were even worse, but oof. Would probably help if I hadn't spelled it to draw circule. Fair warning, this is graphics programming, and I notoriously suck at that. Okay, there's a start. I think the cute redeem shouldn't cost as much as a lot of people need to see cute in these current times. Valid point, Burr. Very valid point. Next break I'll see about tweaking that then. Okay. So, next stop, tile entity, mixer renderer, because of that function right there. So there's all this stuff that we need to then figure out, and it probably will be better if I actually gave it a function, because okay, so rotation we're not going to care about for the moment. Translation we will need. The stack and the slot we've already got. Just that value right there. Don't need to worry about that. Okay. That seems about correct. Oh, that just needs to be returned, not that. Okay. This will put them in exactly the same position, which is not what we want, but for the moment. Okay. So, next thing, let's actually put some inventory in here. So, for the moment, we're just gonna hard code whatever's in here. I think we can start. Does not no list have like an actual? No, create with size from elements, default, and then yes, okay, we can just do that. Grand. So there's the default elements, and let's say new item stack, an apple. And let's have a red flower. And what else do we want to say here for just right now? Gold coin, why not? That's free. We need 6 here, everybody. What do we want? This isn't staying, it's just for testing purposes, so we can actually see if it's actually showing anything. An arrow seems like an obvious one. An emerald, says Marsh. Yeah, good idea. And that's 5. So let's chuck in a diamond. Don't have to be different items, just for us knowing where they are, really. Okay. So that is 6 items. So now, if we go to the ritual renderer, it should go through all 6, and it should display them at the core of the ritual. Obviously, that's not where we actually want them to be, but it's where we're going to have them for the moment. let's see, ritual room ended up being in here. So let's just wait for this to finish, and then we should see a bunch of items in the middle there. I would like there to be a bright light in the middle there, but I haven't quite worked out how to do that, because getting the circle... Like, I have a bright light magic effect, but it works from entities, not tile entities, so it's a little weird. Okay. Yeah, and that's because of the way the drawing works. Never mind. Okay, but there's definitely all of our items in there. Good. Okay, let's add some fanciness here so that they don't just spin. Or don't just stick around there at the very least. So, how do we want to say here? Well, let me just check one thing. Is it reacting to me right now? No, it's not. Okay. So we do have to close this. At least it's consistent, so I know the ritual room's always going to be there. Okay. This is the part where it becomes easier to just have it as an actual function going through all of them instead of just one, because now we actually need to delineate and such. So I think the first thing we need is an actual, like, count of how many items there are. Let's see, that part's fine, I think. Actually, we can just pretty much just grab the whole thing from here. Is working, is irrelevant to us. We just want them to spin anyways. Yeah, that's the brew time. Actually, rotation, that's a different thing, I think. There's the slot, if you're working, there's the... brew time. Yeah, that's the part that does that. Okay. Just like, what is the value for this? I don't remember. Okay, so it should go through all of them. And we need 360 F over get size inventory. So it delineates them appropriately. Trying to think, do I want to... No, it should be fine if we skip the slot there. That's fine. Okay. Right, that should be about good. So up here, just replace that with render contained items. So now they should be in a circle and also rotating slowly. Ish. We'll find out. So Minecraft thumbnail didn't expect coding. Welcome to the world of Minecraft modding. Brain hurty. Oh. Don't worry, that's a very common experience here. But yes, this is Minecraft mod development. And it is in the science and technology part because it's mostly the coding part, but I guess also I wouldn't stand a chance of getting viewers inside the Minecraft section. Oh boy. So, okay, here we are inside of a modded environment, which is probably more obvious in hindsight. Okay. There we go, that's a good start. So that is the items that we plonked in there by hard coding, and they are rotating quite happily. Good start. Very good start. I think I want them to be a little bit further out, and ideally also going in the opposite direction that the circle itself is rotating. But, good starts. Good starts. And yeah, you can kind of make out there with the chests what's going on there. So the way Minecraft renders things, we can see actually a little bit of the edging just from the items themselves. If you have too many like semi-transparent things on top of each other, they cancel out essentially. So it's just so really. Can I make the items rotate in reverse? I hope so. That should be the relatively easy part. Just wait for the room to reboot there. That's part of the Hive management. Let's just work in that. Mostly for debugging. Okay, it's not listening to me. Occasionally, you can code stuff in the visual end, and it will like actually function. But a lot of the time you'd actually just have to boot out and reload. But yeah, just by adding a negative there, I can make them go in the opposite direction. And where is the part? Yes, where's the part that I used to make them go further out? Should be a translation. There you are. Say 1.5. Is some audio made yourself? Yes. From the dirt up. How long did it take? We have been developing this particular mod for like 2 years at this point. There are releases. I have not just been working on this for 2 years without showing it to anybody. But yes, if you follow the link that came out of that chat command there, you can actually go download it yourself. This is not the current version. This is 5.3. Well, I think this is 5. Yeah, I think this is 5.3, and I think the latest out is 5.2. Heck if I remember. At this point, it's been a while. But you can download a version of ours. Several, in fact. There we go. Okay. They need to be a little further out, I think, but they are now appropriately in the circle, and they are definitely going in the opposite direction. Nice. Only have used mod packs? Yeah. I have also used mod packs, but there are limits. Because I also make YouTube videos with Minecraft a lot, and modded Minecraft is a lot more diverse in like the stories you can tell. But after a certain point, you want to tell a specific kind of story, and for that, you need specific mods. And also, if you build a mod from like the ground up, you can specifically control exactly what it does and how it functions and whatnot. Show off the OG oddity? Which one do you mean? Do you mean the one that predates this mod, or do you mean kobolds? Because I'm pretty sure if I summon the other one... Here we go. So here we have the kobold. Available in many colors and styles. Unless you knew it was Visual Basic and the Axe. Oh dear. Predates mod? Yes, there is one oddity that was designed for a different mod, but made it into various oddities because it is aesthetic as hell. Cute? Yeah, the kobolds are a fan favorite. I don't know if this will kill everything. to go away for a moment, guys. Hi there. This is what happens if you summon the liver properly. It's extremely dangerous. And it was definitely trying to cast a spell there. Oh dear. Well, he was trying to use a boss attack, I think, more specifically putting it. Lorge comes in comes usually with like 3 different heads. Which, nope. There you go. Just off to the side there. And is essentially Death Incarnate. To everything. But anyways, back to our previously determined like functions here. So what's happening here, if you're brand new, is this is a hive. Changelings operate in hives, built around rifts, which is currently this little crafting bench here, which is not actually a crafting bench. And hives have a variety of different rooms, so since hives can happen literally anywhere, and especially inside of your own base, I had to go through code that analyzes the internal volume of a space, and then partitions that into chunks that it can use, and then assigns different functions to it. So we've got storage over here, we've got a hatchery over here, there's a garden right there. Oh boy. And then we have Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy's a baby boulette. I don't think I can contain him here. But let me go check. Because we should have a Jimmy inside one of our test worlds. Oh yep, there's Jimmy. Jimmy is currently undergrad, it seems. But he's there. And he's making Jimmy noises, yes. There you are, Jimmy. We just completely derailed the stream. What else is new, I guess? So Jimmy is a type of oddity, is the name of the creatures in this mod. This particular oddity type is called a boulette, or boulet. Most of the creatures are drawn from Dungeons & Dragons, if you're curious. And Jimmy is a baby boulet, which if you name tag them when they're small enough, are non-hostile. And Gilgamesh is just a chicken that I use for testing. An immortal chicken, hence the name Gilgamesh. But yes, you might have surmised, the special property of boulettes is that they can no-clip through solid terrain. Most solid terrain, I should be clear. They can't go through, like, bedrock, and they will not touch water. They hate water. Yeah, so Gilgamesh is there. Jimmy is somewhere down there. This over here is a zombie kobold that we have named Baby Trans for the reason that the kobolds during the month of June will all hold different pride flags, which is dependent upon their UUID, so they always hold the same flag. Do they go down to certain depths? They will go anywhere. They don't fly through the air, they don't go into water, but they will go to any level of solid terrain. So if you stick them in the Nether, they probably have mostly a bad time, but they will like go all the way through like caving systems. That's a new one. Thanks, Jimmy, for showing me up. One of new friends is Seeds and Purr, what, Oh, right, I think I know what you mean now. Like flying squids, a little bit, yeah. Apparently Jimmy flies, yeah. But people kept like originally it was just mobs, and they didn't have any special AI to them at all. And then people kept asking me to give them more functionality beyond just like shove this in a mod pack, add in custom NPCs, and you can have them do whatever you like. So we just sort of kept expanding, and this was at one point this was all of the different blocks you could find in here. Not even remotely anymore, really, because just there are so many, There's one that just literally looks like a missing texture. For whatever reason you'd want to use that for, I guess. There's just so much going on here. That's before you even get to the items. Like, I built an entire magic system because people kept asking me for the mod to do more. Like, just, oh boy. Just so much stuff. Oh, that's a player detector. If you back off those, turn off eventually. The missing texture was Burrow's idea. I mean, I had that idea as well. This particular thing is actually its own little spell. In fact, if I give myself the arcane sight effect, I can see that. Flying as a people pleaser. Oh, yes! Let's see. We want... Varrod Arcane Sight. Which allows me to see what this spell is. If I give myself... nope, we want 32. There we go. The Force Cage spell. Aha, of course. And it's red because it's an evocation spell. And this is from testing of pacts, which are another thing I got that I added, and just... There's so much that you can do with this mod now. But anyways. Back to the stuff we actually planned to do tonight, guys. But yeah, if you're interested, I have put every VOD of all these particular streams, the building blocks streams, onto my YouTube channel, which if you hang out long enough inside of the Twitch chat, either someone will point you to or Moobot will post a link to. So, yeah. Fun stuff. Who's on the roof? I don't know. Look, this is H. Who is the lewdest of the changelings, of course. You have a personal favorite, VOD? Really? But okay, so we've gotten our items. I'm going to shuffle them out a little bit more. And then the next thing that we want to do is have them actually be, like, controlled by the changelings. Adding them, removing them, that kind of thing. And then we need to figure out how do we determine their value individually. We could also ideally do with, instead of this being just that, we need them to actually be, like, spread out according to how many are in there currently, not just always the same thing. For that, though, we need to actually count how many items we have. So it's not empty, then contained items. ++. There. 360 over however many items we actually have. And just skip all of this stuff if we don't need to do it. Okay. So now if we only have like 4 items, they'll be at 90-degree angles. If we only have 1, it'll just be on its own. That kind of thing. And let's say 1.7, I think. Okay. So that's the rendering, so now we know what's actually happening in there. Mark this as dirty whenever that happens. Which should be the thing that also happens in here, I think. There's the set. Which I think gets called up here, so yes. No? Okay, let's mark it as dirty whenever that happens. Mark dirty just lets the system know that it needs to actually, like, let people know what's happened. And I think now we're probably going to need an add stack. Surprisingly, iInventory does not include an actual default add stack. It's got decrease, it's got set, it's got remove. It doesn't actually have add. Strange that, really. let's see. Go back to our mixer, because that's actually got some code in here we probably want to use. Let's see, get stack, remove. Can insert. Can extract. Nope. Wow, surprising. Okay, so if get stack in slot I dot is empty, then set inventory slot contents, that I believe is I, and then the stack split 1 and return true. There. Okay. How do I feel about the chat during these streams? It's definitely entertaining. I hope I can provide some entertainment in return. We're here? I mean, a lot of people are here, not necessarily paying the slightest bit of attention to what I'm doing. Okay. So if we're not full, then we need to request an item from storage, and that means we need to get a changeling to ideally bring it over. Or, instead of going potentially the route that gets me closer to the Yog Dwarves again, what we can instead do is just find a nearby storage room that has items and just magic them over, essentially. We can check to see if there's a changeling in one of, like, the ritual rooms before we do that, just to, like, give it a bit more of an actual, like, aesthetic. I think for the time being, I'm just going to drag them directly out. So, first thing, we need to identify what hive we're in. So, public tail entity rift gets parent rift. If get world is null, which it can be, then just return null. Otherwise, for tile entity rift, it'll have to be tile entities because it won't allow us otherwise. In get world loaded tile entity list. If tile is an instance of tile entity rift, which is the specific thing that handles settlements essentially. There's a reason it's called a rift. I'm sure somebody in chat can explain if anybody's curious. If... Oh, we need tile entity rift now, don't we? Because we actually need access to the functions. So if that rift has a room at this position, there's a start. Next we need to ask is, does it happen to be a ritual room? I think I have a has room at, don't I? No? Is that not a thing? Has rooms of type. Nope, apparently I don't have a has room at. That could be particularly useful later on. Still think which voice should be added as a redeem reward? Oh no. There. Okay, so tile entity rift. And then if that just happens to be null, then it's fine, we don't need to do anything else. But if rift.has rooms of enum hive room type dot storage, then we need to get those rooms. Rooms of type enum hive room dot storage. Okay, so that gets us a list of all the storage rooms in this area. What we now need to do is check if any of them have any items. And when things happen, we get good laughs. Yeah. I think I know what Aspa's referring to with helicopter legs. I'm not 100%, but Would I do which voice for bits instead? I mean, then I actually get value out of it, so that'd be nice. Channel points are completely useless to streamers. They just give the chat, like, some means to tell the streamer what to do. And we don't get paid for it, we just do stuff. But, okay. So now we need to find a storage room that has an item in it. First thing we need to do then is find all of the actual, like, storage blocks in there. Which voice for donation? I mean, which voice for money seems like a thing I should actually do, because that's close to just being a VA. I think since they're tile entities, I should be able to just ask the world for it. Apparently not. Okay, fine. So we need a list there. You can have any Disney spell, not including bed knobs and broomsticks. What would you have? Oh, dang it! Why? Why did you have to rule out bed knobs and broomsticks? Substitutionary locomotion, man. Just animate the entirety Museum of Natural History. Job done. I am now suddenly in like night at the museum. Anyways, back in 10, everybody. Welcome back, everybody, to the final hour of our stream for the evening. So, our current requirement is that we need to go through the ritual and we need to try and make sure that it actually stocks items. The first thing it needs to do is find out if there are any. So, to that end, we need to go through all of these pots and find out if any of them are actually, like, present. We got all the pots out of them just by checking through the world, finding any pots that are in that room, and that should get us the list of pots in that particular storage room. Hooray! So, now that we found that, we can get all the pots. From there, we can get which ones are empty or not. And so, then we need to actually retrieve an item from them and add them to our ritual room. Can get a bit more complicated later on. For right now, we're just looking to see if the rooms are capable of doing this. So, Billy. Yeah, the maid belongs to the multiverse? I mean, yeah. Naturally, that's... Newbies to the chat will have no idea what you guys are talking about now, but it relates to YouTube, suffice to say. So, let's see. Find the first unoccupied slot, I think, is our first thing here. So that's not empty. Then we want to decrement the stack size in that slot and add the resulting item stack to the ritual. By 1. Which we can actually say is a more reasonable value. Inventory stack limit. I have no intention of changing these numbers, but it's nice to use those functions when you have them. Okay, and then we just say this add stack to inventory. Because that should return the actual, like, items removed. And then we can just return for the time being. So it should put them in one at a time. Let's slow it down for us for a little teeny bit. Call that transfer cooldown, I guess. That's pretty much what we're going for here. If this dot transfer cooldown is greater than 0, just return from there. There. Okay. So that should mean that it ticks up with items and such until such time as it is full and it is removing them from storage. Okay. Let's see if it explodes. How many hydrates is a chug? I feel like 4 or 5. They're limited to 10 per stream, though, so good luck. I'm just riding the weirdness. Yeah, that sounds like my career. That's my profession right there. Okay, so if we watch the ritual, we should see items popping in once the room's rebuilt. Takes a while, but that is because we have to calculate the entire volume, and then we have to, like, actually delineate which sections are useful chunks and assign their properties and whatnot, and if we did that all at once, the game would chug. Which we know from experience, the game would chug. 10 per stream is usually the worth of the mug, you're not wrong. So it is presumably currently tabulating space and such. What is the silver thing? Which silver thing? Oh, yes, that's the microphone. That is the thing through which you are hearing me. Hopefully, if all goes to plan. Okay, we have rooms. I have an angry dog to my side there. You're really more of a desert kind of creature, aren't you? Unfortunately, this is a fairly humid place to be. Okay, so now that that's actually defined, I can stand in here and it will advance because it's counting creative players as being changelings for the purposes of ensuring we actually work. So put in a bunch of sigils, which are these floaty little magic symbols. Okay, and there's that. Here we have the storage, so let me chuck out a few items. And our changelings should come and pick these up. As long as I'm not looking. Whoop, yep. So when... Bleep, did we just lose our, bounty there? Oh, I think I think the rooms reset is what happened there. Probably need to turn that off for the time being. Kobold just gets adopted by a hive. I mean... Changeling mythos does have sort of that kind of thing. Okay, I can see an item in storage over there. So... Are we gonna get them added? That's the question. It should be ticking over now. Yeah.
Feed you yips at least once a day. More is prefable.
Thank you very much, Cam. Always appreciated. Okay. Think there's a thing I'm missing here. And I think I probably would benefit from turning off the recalc. Which is there in case, like, I don't know, a creeper goes off in some reason, or a player starts, like, clear-cutting creep and such, but for right now, it's more of a pain. So there's room check, which checks every 50 seconds or so, but obviously, it's causing us a bit of a pain right now, so let's just get rid of that for that. So, okay, there's that, and then in here... pretty much need to take this into our ritual block so that when it actually updates it, like, knows what's going on. Okay, and I believe there's an additional function set down here, which just calls up when it gets dirtied. And all of that should be good. Okay. Recalc when eggs have been laid? Yeah, like, but it should, like, currently what happens is that all of the rooms just dismantle themselves when that happens, but that should really only be used for points in time, like when we're debugging, when we're troubleshooting. For ordinary functions, what should just happen is that the rooms clear them out and such, or the rooms select their functions based on types that are already in there, like blocks that are already there. Would Witch adopt the kobolds? I mean, according to Fanon, Witch will adopt basically anything that doesn't appear to have a child. Like, it doesn't appear to have a parent. So, I guess... So we know that that room over there is a storage room, because it keeps selecting that, and they're, like, pretty decent. So, now that we've actually turned off the recalc, it should stay a storage room for long enough for our... hopefully changelings to pick us stuff up as well as to dump stuff in there. Now we can't really put just a hopper into there for the moment because, well, system won't like that. Suffice it to say. Just gonna chuck a bunch of items around. Where's an airport block when you need one? There you are. And a pumpkin. Why not? Maybe somebody maybe somebody ended up with a changeling in their pumpkin farm or something. I don't know. Okay. So those items are definitely being put into storage by our little changeling over there. Which one is that? Who's that? Let's find out. You are Harvey. Okay. Thank you, Harvey. So we should be able to see the items getting stored in here. Emphasis on should. We don't appear to be having that. Why do we not appear to be having that? Are we not adequately marking it as dirty when we set the contents? That could be it. No, we are setting to dirty. Okay. Why are we not seeing any items in here? That's the question. Well, let's see if we can figure out what's going wrong here. That's the rift, that's the mix. Did I put it into the wrong thing? Is that what happened there? Nope, it's in here. Okay. Plunk that down there as well. Just in case. Okay, so let's see. That should all be good. Just dunk that there just in case. Yeah, everything should be fine now. So watch the console, everybody. If it spams out that, then what we know is it's not resetting. Yeah, that sounds like it's not actually, resetting. Interesting. Because it should be racing to fight that. We should only see that message like once every 5 seconds. Can I even see the console because you're on mobile? That's... Don't worry about it. I will happily explain whatever happens to it. Okay. So why is that? We know it's updating, so that's progress at the very least. Yeah, the transfer cooldown should get reset every time. Unless we can't find the rift. If we can't find the rift, then it automatically shuts off right there. That's the only point that it could be causing it to not be able to continue and also not reset. Okay. Fanta isn't entirely wrong, given that Lang has confirmed canon which is protective of kids. True? Yeah. Which has a kid, for instance. How much money would you have to give me to get me to say something in which voice? Depends on the something. Knowing you, Marsh. So if I add a call to reset the transfer cooldown right here, and that's then seemingly fixes the issue, then we know the problem is in the parent rift. My favorite kind of bug. The one that we can debug easily. The one that we can troubleshoot. Like, when I was reworking the Hive calculation code for volumes, to take it away from the sun, the sun kills all Hive activity kind of version to the enclosure part, I fixed that up, and then for some reason the room generator, which is a completely separate chunk of code, broke. The room generator only takes a list of block positions. There was no reason for it to break. I still don't know exactly how it broke, or how I fixed it for that matter, but works now. So I'll take it. Okay, what is the chat saying here? Let's give you guys that visual for it. Retrieving items from storage. Retrieving items from storage. Okay, now it's more measured, which means that was the problem. It's not finding the parent rift. Okay, and since it can't find its own rift, it has no idea where the storage room is. Okay. Random kobold in the distance. Where are you? Right here. Okay. Up here. That should be Hive room. Didn't notice too much. We're wondering something, we don't want to say it because you're not trying to... Now I'm concerned. Okay, that should give us some actual information here. Just want to make absolutely certain that that's the point where it's breaking. Poor lost kobold may have wandered into the wrong part of town. I mean, changelings are relatively welcoming. They don't attack kobolds on sight, unlike goblins. If a kobold wandered into a goblin settlement, oh boy, stuff's about to go down. Particularly because they're very, very well balanced. I can't recall exactly what happens Like, with, I think the goblins have slightly higher damage, I think it was, but the kobolds have slightly higher health. Can't remember. Patreon thing. Right. You can message me at the very least. Okay, what do we see down here? Couldn't find parent rift. Okay, yeah, it can't find the rift. Why can't it find the rift is the next question. Because it should have its own world. It should know about that much. So if that room, if it has a room there and we have that, good, yes. Kobold wanders into the goblin settlement, Kobold immediately wanders out of the settlement, yeah. Want some angel delights? Oh lord, that takes me back a bit. Well, thanks, Cam. Now I have the taste of pink in my mouth. Okay, let's see. Does it check any... Does it find any rifts when it's checking for its parent? No! It doesn't find any rifts. Interesting. Let's see. Let's change this around a little bit. Possibly because Talented Rift is a super class and we're looking for specifically a lower class, but let's find out. That can be a bit messy sometimes. Got flashbacks to the butterscotch angel delight you had as a kid. Oof. I am suddenly very glad that I have boxes of Pocky behind this monitor. Did I see what you said earlier? Depends what you said earlier. There's a lot of stuff that gets said. You've come collecting that one? I did. Call it a fiver. I don't know. Strictly speaking, Marsh, I believe you do have, like, sufficient stuff on the Patreon to actually, like, request a... No, still can't find any rifts. Interesting. Like, audio requests are a thing that is on the Patreon, because people like my voice for some strange reason. So, if you're at a high enough bracket on that, you can, in fact, just monthly request something from me. Okay, so we're not finding any rifts. Why? Let's check if we're actually checking anything. Because there's probably quite a few of these. Oh! Hang on, I'm a complete idiot, that's what's happening. If a get world does not equal null, return null. Meaning as long as there is a world object, we can never find a rift. Although much higher than that? No, they were reduced considerably in reflection of how much, like, work, labor, is required for them. But yeah, for $5, you can, once a month, ask me to say, more or less, anything on audio, on record. As long as it's not for, like, economic use or that kind of thing. And obviously I get right of refusal, as it were. Okay. Oh! Hey! We have an item. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that glitch. Now we only have the one because I think the room got reset. And I see a pumpkin over here, as well as some yellow. Is there 2 yellow in here, maybe? Okay, so there's something resembling a problem here. And it appears also to have stopped entirely, which suggests that it currently thinks it's full. And it would, because not empty does not equal necessarily full. Okay. My little sneaky easy check there is, not correct. We need to check if any stack is empty. Not if any stack is actually occupied. You silly, yeah. A lot of time, that happens a lot. So, yeah, Marsh, if you want to send me a Patreon message, then, I'll see to that for you. There we go. Yarn. Oh, also Marsh. Interesting. They are moving around, though. They are, like, reorganizing, which is good. I want to see that. Why are we seeing them change? That's interesting. Guess because you updated your username? Maybe. That could be it. Okay. So that's good. We can actually, like, add whatever items we want here. Obviously, those are now currently stuck there for all eternity, because we have nothing that removes them. But that's good. That's progress. So the next step is to actually get them to figure out and, like, perform a ritual and stuffs, but I want to know why we had them changing like that. That was interesting. Like, it clearly showed that there was a new occupied thing in them, but also it ended up with the preceding one that was added first, and then it changed. That's interesting. I don't know why that would be exactly. Everything that comes to mind is, like, something to do with the updating. But, how very odd. But it works. It works well enough, at the very least. So, fine by me. Keep forgetting fried flags? Did I put the flags in searchables? No, I did not. I know there's a thing in here for flags. But I can't see it. Is Pride Month cancelled because we can't outside? Nope. We're just going to be extremely gay indoors. Hey, that's good. That's good to see. So next up, the changelings visits, and then the ritual starts, and there's a timer, and if it completes, there is a random chance of it actually, like, increasing the size of the hive, and thereby causing the whole place to get bigger. The creep spreads out further, that kind of thing. Or extremely questioning. Yes. Let's just quickly check to see if those items stay there. Which they should, but just in case. Good, they're still there. Grand. This is also based on, like, system time, so I probably should change that to an actual dedicated value, because as you can see, there's a little bit of a judder to it. We don't really want that. Why'd I say it like that? Why not? It's gonna be wild seeing you make the Kieran Patreon. That is part of our to-do list. So if anybody in the chat, we have a Discord channel. Moobot has probably stated about it already, but if you go to there, we have a channel called Modding in Bedmon, where I talk about all these stuff that are going on during the week. And inside of that, we have a to-do list at present, which actually tells us all of the stuff that we're doing before the next big release of various oddities, among which is to implement the Kirin, which is a counterpart to the Witch patron. Can the objects intersect the ring halfway, like floating inside instead of on top? They can, and then you will not be able to see half of them most of the time, because of the way that the intersection works. But yeah, that's really easy. I can just change that right now, actually. Let's see, Hive Ritual, Renderer. Yeah, that's just because of that right there. But yeah, the transparency makes things weird. It's wild finding out after years of thinking one is cishet that one is not only not cis, but not het either. Welcome to my universe. Having a Kieran interjects and being in the crowds. Yeah. Okay, so if we have enough items, then... let's see... trying to think. Block enchantment table? There you are. From your random display tick. Just want to actually create a bunch of enchanting particles just to show that what's happening. Starting to work up the courage to actually talk in the Discord. Don't worry about it, Dusty. We have plenty of locusts. A million fireworks go off and lag the world out. I mean, there was that time that I accidentally filled the entire sky with petrifying gas. That happens. That was because I miscalced how... Well, I misimplemented the spread function for that, because there's no actual gas inside of Minecraft, so I just had to modify liquids, essentially. So it just kept spreading upwards, basically infinitely. Took a while to rescue that world. Okay, that should give us some nice little particles, just to indicate that this thing is set. It was not the same world that Baby Trans was in. Yep! That's where the cage came from? Yeah. That's why there's a force cage there. It was used to contain the gas whilst I was working on it still. Because despite those bars, liquids and such can't flow in and out of them. Because if they could, then we would also have people just be able to walk through them. It's the way things work, more or less. Oh yeah, that's a ton of particles, alright. But it is doing more or less what I expected. So, next step, I'm just going to break this. And stand in here. And it does not do that normally. Grand. Good, that's progress. Okay, let's chuck some blocks out. Just whatever we have to hand, more or less. And turn our backs, because the changelings specifically, like, are less likely to pick stuff up if you're not looking. Well, if you're looking at them. Let's get some over here so I can actually see stuff. Do it. There you go. Oh no. What's happening? Oh, I'm not looking. Oh, something happened. Oh. Okay, so it's picking them up, and we don't have that weirdness now, which I think was just related to it trying to retrieve items whilst it was client-side only. And there we go. Perfect. Nice. Not perfect, but close anyways. So if get world.isRemote, then do the particles. And let's actually just delineate this so that it doesn't stretch off to near infinity at that range. Jeez. Minecraft has a tendency to put things into one really long line, which is not good for readability. Can the particles change color the closer they get to the center? Those ones can't. But if we implemented our own, which we have done a few times, they could be made to do so. But those are just vanilla enchanting table particles. There we go.
Can't avoid this one. Thank you, lying carrot W carrot.
No. You're welcome, Marsh. Okay, just set this into basically a loop now. So it will retrieve items, do the thing, and then it will empty itself. That was Para? Oh, right, yes, sorry. You're welcome, everywheres. Leave me alone, it's nearly midnight here. Am I okay? Am I ever? Is anyone okay right now? Especially right now? Who knows? Since when have you ever used bits? I'm sure it's on my account that you have. So in a mo, that should all vanish. Yep. And we are now retrieving items again. that's Karen. What's the voice for sound alerts? What? Hmm? Now, another thing we can do is just have the ritual room itself update the tile at the middle here. So instead of it just being itickable and therefore ticking all the time anyways, we actually have the room request a changeling to come visit, and then the room then updates it. But, yeah, for right now it's fine. And we appear to be out of items there. So, are there anything floating, bobbing around? Nope, doesn't seem like it. Good. Just took a few things around, a few weirdnesses. Yep, there we go. And obviously needs to reset its transfer cooldown while it's doing that, but that's fine. No. What's... Oh, right, yes. Sound alerts. Ah, sorry, I forgot to put those onto the screen then. Because they're not in my defaults, because they're a recent thing. Hang on. I can add those. Ritual's getting weird, some stairs. Well, here's the thing. Changelings don't actually know what their patron, like, parent or whatever is looking for. They only know that if they take a bunch of items and sacrifice them in this manner, sometimes their parent rewards them with a bigger hive, essentially. Which is why, like, different things have different values, but the changelings will use anything. Okay, there's stuff over here, but that's not restocking. Interesting. Which suggests this one hasn't actually reset. Do they learn as time progresses? Nope. Put it this way, if the changelings could reliably put good items into the ritual...
A few moments later.
Yeah, there we are. Which is apparently really tiny. But still, it worked. Yeah, it's not locked, it's just apparently really tiny. Well, nonetheless, it worked, sort of. Those things, sound alerts basically never get used. I don't know why I include them. But okay, that was evidently just a client-side bug, which might be related to the pots, I guess. Yeah, if the... if they knew if they knew exactly what items to actually put into the ritual to maximize their odds of growing the hive, then it would grow very quickly. It's not 100% every single time, it's like at most 30%, but if they could reliably do it, then they would grow out of control very quickly. Particularly if, for instance, there was a changeling near, say, a highly efficient witch farm, for instance. They would just grab the stuff, take it home, and then it would go into the ritual, and then they would just grow rapidly, whether you even paid attention or not. So we want them to be chaotic. We want them to be, like, inefficient, that kind of thing. Because the alternative is quite unfortunate. Quite unpleasant. Does this... Let's see, there's that. No, it should. It should. We might have just been too far away for that one to update. Okay. How do I words with the patron thing? What do I put in the message? What you're requesting? Like, so sound audio file, that kind of thing. What you want to be requested and how you want it said, that kind of thing. But okay, so we give them items, those items go into the tile entity checks for stuff, and then stuff happens. And what's more, we even have it visually representing. Grand! Okay. So, next week, what I need to have happen is getting the changelings involved in this. Which might even happen over the course of the week, we'll find out. Check for modding in bed mod if you want to keep really up to date of what's going on with this. Other than that, I believe that's the end of my stream, because I've been here for a while now.
Player has joined the game.
Meow. Oh, error. Yeah, as I say, if you check out the Discord, you can find stuff easier. But let me see. Next stream is not tomorrow, or at least not the usual one tomorrow. Tomorrow we do have a stream, but it's not the D&D one, because of various things going on. But at 9 o'clock, 9 PM GMT on Wednesday, you can watch me play Dead by Daylight blindfolded. Because I can again now, because my wrist ain't hacked. And then, that is the first of our 2 bonus streams this month. Our next stream after that is at 9 on Thursday, where we'll be playing some Monster Hunter World. Hopefully checking out this Blighted Velkhana thing. It's not Blighted Velkhana, Blighted Velhazak thing. And then on Friday at 9, we have a brand new installment for Friday night. It will not be Dead by Daylight, but it will be a horror game. We'll see what exactly it turns out to be. And hopefully at 7 on Saturday we should have some Dungeons & Dragon hats, followed at 9 with the carousel and some random games. And we'll be back for more of this on Tuesday. We do a lot of stuff around here, and part of it is also videos of youtube.com/comic, and everything, every last little bit of this content, squeezed out of me by the careful attention of the Oompa Loompas that are my patrons, over at patreon.com/lying. Hope you've all enjoyed, and I'll catch you all over next time.